You're watching Lansdowne Raw, the voice of the fans. Johnny Kenny finds the net again, whilst Troy Parrott faces the spotlight after another penalty miss. Join us on Lansdowne Raw Live as we break down all the latest in Irish football. I'm Mike Prendergast, I'm joined by Conor McAvoy, rep tracker himself. He's like a kid on Christmas Eve because he's waiting for the Under-17 World Cup to start. Fantastic show, Conor, the preview show. But how are you getting on? Like you're just
good.
Excited.
You sound like you're going to get me arrested. You sound like you're going to get me arrested for something.
This is your first ever World Cup. You were saying on the show. Well, really, the first one with Ireland in.
You're
on
the meal side. Don't say that before you get called out on the meal side. On the meal side, things.
Yes.
It's first. Well, technically, I was born for 2002, but it would have been a month old. So it's great to be back on and having a bit of excitement about Irish football for once, Martin. Isn't it? Big week ahead. Big 3 weeks ahead with lots of big matches coming up. 17s, seniors, the 21s playing England. So there's so much to be under 19s of their qualifiers as well. So there actually is so much to be actually looking forward to over the next couple of weeks. And obviously the under 17s will take me an attraction for the next at least week and a half, and then hopefully longer after that. But it's great to have a bit of optimism really surrounded Irish football for once, because obviously we had the stories last week of redundancies and stuff again, and it's never sad that there's obviously people are going to lose their job, but at least we can have stories this week, hopefully a bit more positive, and hopefully we're in for a big week of football, Martin. You looking forward to it?
Yep, I am looking forward to it. Yeah, brilliant week ahead. Looking forward to obviously heading off over to Dublin for the Portugal game. Senior squad is announced on Thursday. Looking forward to that as well, because it's all the build up now. It's all part of it, and then off to Hungary for that key final game of the group. Hopefully we can secure that playoff spot. But on tonight's show we've got OBIG, where we catch up with the latest of how the lads have got on over the weekend with Conor. We want to also get your views on the squad. This is the most interactive Irish football podcast out there. We want to get your views, the Raw faithful. Let us know who you think should be in the squad. We've actually picked our own squads this evening because we are thinking that Heimir's going to pick a 25-man squad, because he will obviously, we think, include Malumbi and Manning, who are both suspended. But so we're going to go 25 with our squads. But as I said, we want to get your views, the Raw faithful. So do get involved. And if you are new to the channel or you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Please like, share this, tell all your friends that you're watching this fantastic interactive Irish football podcast with a lad who knows everything about Irish football. He knows every player in existence. He done a fantastic show previewing the under-17s, because I'll be honest, I knew the big names. But hearing the insight and the where these lads are playing and who they're playing for was very interesting, Conor. I really did enjoy it. I'm being genuine. Dave was noticeably silent throughout. But it was good that he said, the big name players. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them. I thought it was quite fun.
Yeah, who is the big names, Mr.
Do you know? Seriously, have a listen to that, lads. Do check back all our listeners, because we do want to, have a look back at that video, because it's a fantastic preview of the under-17s. I am jesting, of course, because when I'm taking the piss out of Conor, because it is fantastic. I never realised what a competitive competition that is. The previous winners. Germany have only won it once. And you do think of a World Cup and you think of these big nations, and yet they haven't dominated it. Some of these other countries have, and we do a genuine chance, don't we, Conor? I said you're excited, but the lads are very confident. I like that comment as well. You said you've heard from some of the lads. They're off there. They're very confident, aren't they? And why shouldn't they be? They've got to go for it, haven't
100%. They? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be. I can't wait, because that's the thing. It's like you always think with Irish teams, you always would go and give them a game, or hopefully we give them a game, we might hit them in the break, but they just think they're good enough to beat anyone. They have the ability to go and beat anyone in this World Cup, and there's nothing really that should scare us in terms of opposition, because we have the players. Obviously, you always take every team and have a lot of respect for them. A lot of them are very up and coming nations as such in our group. They're more you'd say nations back in the day. You'd expect to walk over them 5-6-0, and now you'd come into them and you don't know what's going to happen, because they're so good. Like Uzbekistan, as we said the other night, knocked England out in the last under-17 World Cup. So it just shows the level they're competing at these days. So it's very exciting, and it's the thing of unknown, because although these other countries, everyone knows who Ireland are, but they'll probably look at what their own senior squad are at these days, and obviously we know we have a good just probably set of players. But probably if you look at results on the pitch, people probably think we have an awful team. So people are probably going to think the underage setup is exact same, and we've proven really underage setup we always compete with the very best. So hopefully it can be as excited. Hopefully they can continue to perform as they have against European teams as they can against our countries from all around the globe, which makes it even more exciting that we're seeing these nations that we'd never even dream of Ireland playing against, would we?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is an exciting time for Irish football. We've had a few questions in already there about like asking you, Conor, who's the most up and coming for the under-19s and 21s. Following on from that fantastic show with the under-17s, but let's just remind ourselves of the fixtures this week because Ireland are in action on the 11th, aren't they?
Wednesday.
No, sorry, the 5th. Sorry, Wednesday, taking on Panama, and that's a 12:30 kickoff. Then Uzbekistan on a few days later on the 8th, and then you have taken on Paraguay on the 11th. Then, I mean, decent times as well. You'll be able to catch these games, of course, on RTE. And what I think as well to stress is, these lads are kids ultimately. They're playing for some very high profile clubs, some of the lads especially. But it's a youth tournament, and it's going to give them fantastic experience. And I think you got it right as last night at the turn of the show, saying that I don't think anyone's going to put any pressure on these lads and be saying, "Oh, we're absolutely hopeless, we're useless," because you are going to see some absolutely brilliantly talented players here on display. These are lads we've seen who are getting moves to the Premier League in a few years. They're under 17s at the moment, but they're playing at a very high level, aren't they, with some of their clubs, and they're exciting prospects, but they are prospects. Let's just remember that. So I am looking forward to it because I don't think I've ever really been that bothered, to be honest. And, Ireland have done fantastically well. Brian Kerr back in the days under 16s, 18s, but it wasn't on TV. It was difficult to kind of follow it back then. But this is now an opportunity for people to watch it on FIFA.com and RTE and get some positivity about Irish football.
Yeah, because the thing is, back in the day when Brian Kerr's teams won, if you went and won a World Cup now or European, no disrespect to them groups, obviously there's some unbelievable players playing in teams. It's so much more impressive to do it in modern time because there's so many nations in modern football that are good or compete at high level. You don't get an easy game anymore, particularly in underage football. So like, it's not the sort of thing where you can say, "Oh, we got done well." If you do really well in a European underage competition or a world underage competition, that's when you have a really good squad in your hands. But it's the sort of thing you can't really come into this camp with. Really, you can't really have these expectations about where we should be getting to like a senior competition where it's established players. You kind of just have to go with the sort of thing. You go with the flow and you just take it by game basis because the reality is you could lose your first game 6-0 against a team that you lost against Panama 6-0, and then Uzbekistan had beat Paraguay 2-0, but then you go and beat Uzbekistan 2-0. Uzbekistan had then beat Panama in the last match, so anything could actually happen in these sort of top competitions. So you can't really just put expectations on that shoulders and expect them to do this. The only people that should do that is probably the players themselves, and maybe the management, because they obviously they have the standards they want to reach themselves and personal goals. But I just think that you kind of just let them go out and they express themselves, and we'll see their quality should shine through in all these games, you'd hope. But you just don't know, because these other countries will have excellent young players of their own. Like these other countries didn't get here by chance, like all our top nations. So it's just going to make it very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, taking on opposition that Ireland aren't normally up against as well. Like, as I said, Uzbekistan, Panama, Paraguay, they're the three opening games. We wouldn't be playing friendlies with them. So it's different styles of football, different kind of philosophies towards football as well. Dealing with different types of referees, of course, and the conditions as well is another thing. Because this tournament's it's going to be there for 5 years, isn't it? Every year. So it's a fantastic kind of opportunity for these lads to go and express themselves, qualify again, the next group coming through. But, we want to see these lads get experience, because ultimately then it all kind of goes down the line to hopeful qualification for the future World Cups underage, and then the Euros under 21, and then of course the World Cup as well, and the European Championships of course for Ireland as well. So you just don't know how some of these players are going to get on, but very, very exciting times to be an Ireland fan from that. And the Ireland squad, of course, will be announced on Thursday. We'll have that all covered here on Lansdowne Raw. So make sure, as I said, you subscribed, follow the channel, get your notifications on, and you'll get notified when all our videos and all our social media posts are out there, giving you the latest news from the spot, because Conor has it all covered, of course, as I've said. So before we go into OBIG, we're going to just catch up with a couple of high-profile the kind of breaking news across our title of the show this evening. And a goal scorer in form, 2 goals in the Old Firm, in the Cup, Johnny Kenny, 2 goals. Fantastic.
One goal.
I mean,
one goal.
One goal. Sorry. One player.
Two goals
a player
midweek.
who 2 goals midweek. Yeah. Goal scoring form then. Okay. But look, this is what you want from our strikers, isn't it? And to do it in the Old Firm game as well, massive. Brilliant. Does that, Conor, cement his place in the squad coming up Thursday?
I actually don't know, because I just don't know, because there's another striker doing very well as well, and you think maybe the other striker might suit international football better for the ties we're against. But then it's just a sort of thing. Johnny Kenny scored 3 goals in 2 games, and you're thinking, does he have to be picked based on that? And it's a sort of thing you just don't know. That's what I've been contemplating with myself, and I know a lot of people are even Johnny Kenny call him up because he scored 3 goals in 2 games. And he is every right to. He'd say deserve to maybe get that third striker spot, especially with Ferguson out now. Or could we go with 4 strikers with the way the squad is? Or maybe you'll see later how I think we should go with the squad. But yeah, another unbelievable week for Johnny Kenny. I thought he was excellent. Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it, against Rangers? And I thought his movement was brilliant. You could just see even after the goal went in, you could just see he just raised the level up even more. You could just see his confidence rising, and it's the biggest goal he's probably scored in his career. I know he scored in European competition with Rovers, but against Rangers at Hampden Park is one of the biggest games in European football. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure on himself yesterday, and I thought he was excellent. His movement was brilliant. His pressure on the defenders, his movement in the box is probably one of his most impressive things, actually, because his finishing is so good, but it's his movement to get there in the right place, right time, even for that corner to get on that in a corner. The header was brilliant, and then to blow the kisses, Martin, as you see in that photo to the Rangers fans. I'm sure they love that. Like, it's just beautiful, isn't it, to see him blowing kisses at Rangers fans? Like I'm not the biggest Celtic lover now, being honest, but to see them rattling them lot, it's always good to see, and it's always great to see League of Ireland product came through at Sligo, who are an unbelievable academy, pound per pound one of the best in Ireland, and then go back from which was a very tough opening spell at Celtic, which it was really, really tough for him. Went on loan to Queen's Park, didn't go well at all. Came back to League of Ireland with Shamrock Rovers. His first season, he struggled actually quite a bit. He was really still getting used to maybe that men's football and adapting to the pressure that's on you at Shamrock Rovers. And then last season, he just completely tore the league apart. I thought he was superb, particularly in Europe as well. And then he's getting even better week in, week out. And now at Celtic, it's probably benefited him that Ian Acho picked up that injury a couple of weeks ago, that when Martin O'Neill came in, he got straight in as a starter midweek, and he took full advantage of it. 2 goals midweek, another goal at yesterday. I seen Cal McGregor saying that he can conquer the world. So yeah, I must think so highly of him at Celtic, and he got his new contract in the summer. It can shut them Celtic fans up who just keep doubting him. A certain one that watches our channel who used to say who the F is JK, and used to just glamour Adam Idah. But now I'm actually seeing comments of people arguing about arguing the opposite, saying that Adam Idah was a disgrace and he was useless, and Johnny Kenny's a real prospect. So these Celtic fans just are just so confused. They don't like to know themselves. But yeah, it's great to see Johnny Kenny doing absolutely brilliant with Celtic.
Yeah, fantastic to see. I mean, we'll come on to it obviously later on about who we think is going to be in the Ireland squad, but scoring goals, you can't argue with that. But another player who struggled from the spot though, Troy Parrott, another penalty miss. I mean, is this 2 in 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 in 2 games really. So it's 2 in a row. Yeah. Not good for Mr. Parrott from the penalty spot, is it, Prendy? People I know people say I do find it quite hyperbole. People are saying I don't know, it's rich coming from me that by saying a lad's doing unbelievable, but people are saying about all our strikers in red hot form, or Troy Parrott's red hot form. I don't necessarily think he's in unbelievable form. I think he's in very, very good form, and he is our in-form striker as such. He's doing the best, but people are saying he did score against a lot of farmers in Europe in the Conference League qualifiers, and then obviously he has started very well in the league. It was 3 goals in 2 games before the weekend. His last 3 goals, it was Ajax and Utrecht. He scored twice and then one against Ajax. So yeah, he is in very good form, but then the 2 penalties is the disaster from his point of view, because he could have got a hat-trick last weekend with that, and then he could have kept the run going of scoring in nearly every game yesterday. So I really hope that it hasn't affected his confidence. I don't think it has, because he's the sort of player that kind of just has so much self-belief that he thinks he's better than everyone else, and I don't think he cares. Because actually, when you watch Troy, he does a lot of when you watch Troy play, he misses actually quite a few chances. Not as much this season, but last season when you watch him, he would be quite inconsistent 1v1s. But when you see him now, he is a lot more clinical in front of goal, which I do. He has to take credit for. So he has got better in that aspect. But when it comes to penalties, obviously, he has scored a lot of penalties in his career so far, but you don't want to just keep missing them and affecting his confidence. So hopefully that was just a one-off. I hope you think the same.
Yeah, I think, look, it does worry me a little bit, though, just within our squad overall. This is a question I've got for the Raw Faithful, basically, but those watching along this evening, like, who takes our penalties? Evan Ferguson's missed one. I know he's not in the squad, of course. He won't be in the squad. He's injured. But Troy as well. I mean, it just worries me a little bit who's our penalty taker in that team now.
It would be Troy. It'd be Troy or Idah. If it's Troy starting in front, it's Troy. If it's Idah starting in front, it's Idah. If it's both, it probably would be Idah, because Idah is actually taken a few for Ireland and scored. Remember at the Dutch game at home, scored. Yeah, so I don't think a penalty for Ireland is a worry. I do think if we went to a penalty shootout, I think we actually are quite stacked for options, because a lot of our lads take penalties for their clubs and do very well. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just more the club aspect. You just don't want this former Troy Parrott could have went on and broke every single record that he was going for in the Dutch league, and then these penalties have affected him, because, like, as much as people love to talk about, it's only a penalty, look what Gyökeres done last season at Sporting Lisbon. He scored a ridiculous amount of penalties, and no one made a big deal of it, and he's went up going for 60 million to Arsenal in the summer. So yeah, it's not that big of an issue, but hopefully it doesn't keep doing it.
Yeah, okay. Let us know your views anyway, Raw Faithful. Who do you think should be on penalties for Ireland? Obviously, bearing in mind that they have to obviously be on the pitch, and we might get one. You never know. And just before we come on to OBIG, just want to chat about a player who announced his retirement today, Alan Judge. There he is in action, actually, in the game where he got injured. This is the Denmark away game. He got injured, didn't he, in the last minute, making an assist for Shane Duffy's goal, the equaliser. But yeah, he's announced his retirement today. 9 caps for Ireland, a better record than Didsey. He actually scored a goal and in 9 games, whereas Didsey got 14
Why
games.
You compare? Don't compare. Appreciate greatness. Don't compare. You always do this. Don't compare. And does it really count if it was in a club football? His goal, you wouldn't talk about it because it was in a non-competitive game, whilst Didsey's wasn't a competitive game. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. But anyway, it was, if you remember his goal, it was the winner against the USA at home. Yes. It'd be funny if someone else made their final appearance for Ireland in that very same game. I will not name names, but yeah. So my favourite Alan Judge, he was a lovely footballer, wasn't he? Lovely left peg, and would have played for Ireland a lot more if he didn't break his leg. It was a double leg fracture. So yeah, he's had terrible luck with that, but he had a very good club career. Was over 650 appearances at club level. Obviously, probably the age, because he's not ridiculously old, but I'm sure the leg break took a lot of maybe 1 or 2 years out of his career. But fair play to him. He played for his country 9 times, had an excellent club career, particularly at Brentford. He was excellent and getting him up to the championship. So hopefully, he
very clever player, like very underrated. I thought he was always very underrated. He's always kind of on the periphery of the squad, but he never lets down when he played. I thought, decent. But yeah, just really unlucky with injuries. And yeah, I remember that USA game. Absolutely buzzing after. I think I met him after that game. And yeah, in case you're wondering, the player you won't name who played his last game, that was actually John O'Shea's 100th cap for Ireland that night. And Declan Rice is the answer to the question.
The thing is, Alan Judge would have played a lot more for Ireland if he didn't break his leg. Plus, I do think he would have achieved more at a higher level, club level. I do think he would have played a lot of games in the championship and done really well in the championship. But then the leg break probably just ruined all his momentum, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. Yeah. But so fair play to him. Well done on a fantastic career, because he ended up at Braintree, didn't he, with a non-league team. So that's not a bad way to end. Still obviously shows he still loves football and stuff. So fantastic. Right, we're going to move on to. Want to get your comments? Let us know, of course. Most interactive Irish football podcast out there, as I said. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but do let us know your views. Who do you want to see selected in the squad? It is announced on Thursday, and we'll have it all covered here, of course. But yeah, let us know who you think should be in there. And we're going to have a little bit. I'm going to ask a question now, because I'm going to be saying a bit on the goalkeepers, because I think that's where changes should be made. So yeah, let us know who you think should be the 3 goalkeepers selected. But let's have a look anyway. First of all, how the lads got over the weekend, and this is OBIG. Here we go. Right, so these are Irish players who have been selected for Ireland recently. So Caoimhín Kelleher as a goalkeeper, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Crystal Palace. Max O'Leary, an unused sub for Bristol City. Josh Keeley, 90 minutes in a 4-3 win in the FA Cup against Forest Green. And Mark Travers, an unused sub. And Gavin Bazunu, also an unused sub. So that's the 5 goalkeepers that we named there. Conor, anything to say on the goalkeepers? Did you watch the Forest Green game against Luton?
I just watched the highlights. Actually, I didn't see it live. I watched the highlights, but Josh couldn't really do anything for the Forest Green goals. He was let down really by his defenders. What were they? 3-0 up, weren't they? And then Forest Green go back to 3-3, and they got the winner last minute.
Robbie Savage,
Robbie Savage. He's actually doing an all right job as manager. A lot of people like to talk shit about him, don't they? Because they don't like his personality, don't like his hair. So, but he's doing a decent job there. But yeah, tough weekend for Kelleher. Couldn't do anything right for the Palace goals, especially when his captain had the ball in the back of his own net. But on the other keepers, I do think it'll be interesting now, Martin, on this midweek what Southampton do with their goalkeeper situation, because they play QPR 7:45 on Wednesday night before the squad's named, and they're going to have at least a new manager or an interim manager in place, because Will Still was sacked today after with their 4th bottom in the championship, which is mad. It's actually when you look at the unexpected points, they're actually 3rd because of they do it on how well a team has played every game. So obviously they're just missing all the chances, but the chances they concede, they're conceding too many goals from. But it'd be interesting if Bazunu comes back in. If Bazunu comes back in, I think you can't really make a cry or claim that he shouldn't be in the Ireland squad. But if he's not named, if he's not starting on Wednesday night, I think it's a signal that his time is done in Southampton, particularly with the interim manager, who is the 21s manager, who probably likes Gavin. We played him last week in the 21s game, if you remember, when he nearly scored that header. But it's a real sticky situation. If he doesn't start this week, I'd really put up questions. Should he be in the Ireland squad? The same with Mark Travers as well, another 3rd choice keeper who's not playing, or second choice club, but 3rd with Ireland. So it's a really sticky situation. I know we'll probably talk more about it when we say about the squad, but I don't know what to think of it really.
I think that with the under-21 manager coming in as an interim at Southampton, is that not going to be? Can you see that happening realistically? That he will make that big decision to drop their 1st choice goalkeeper?
Gavin is their 1st choice goalkeeper who got dropped. The thing
but he didn't get dropped by the under-21 manager, did he? So he got managed by Still, and so to do that, don't you just kind of?
But the goalkeeper, the thing is, the goalkeeper coach that was with the first team has been sacked as well. And usually, you'd say 95% of the times, decisions on goalkeepers and it just comes from the goalkeeping coach, because obviously they know best about goalkeepers. So it will be with the goalkeeper coach gone. It will make it interesting, and there could be pressure from the board being like, "Well, we spent 50." I know if Gavin goes in January, they're going to have to settle their losses on him, but if they spent 12 million, 15 million on him a couple of seasons ago, and they didn't spend that on Alex McCarthy, so it will be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday night. But we'll probably talk more about what we think the goalkeeper situation should be later on.
Yep. Okay. All right. We're going to just come on to the defenders. Here we go. So Robbie Brady is still out injured for Preston North End. John Egan, 90 minutes in a 2-0 win versus Norwich for Preston North End, against Preston North End. Seamus Coleman, unused sub for Everton this evening. Nathan Collins, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Crystal Palace for Brentford. Matt Doherty out injured with Wolves. Joshua Honohan out injured at present. Jake O'Brien, 83 minutes, came off to this evening in a 1-1 draw versus Sunderland. Andrew Omobamidele is out injured at the moment. Darragh O'Shea, 90 minutes in a 4-1 win versus QPR for Ipswich Town. Liam Scales, 120 minutes. Obviously, the game went to extra time. 3-1 win versus Rangers. James Bankwell was out suspended for Watford. Jimmy Dunn, 90 minutes in that 4-1 loss versus Ipswich for QPR. Callum O'Dowd was not in the squad for Ferencváros. Mark McGuinness, 60 minutes in the 3-1 loss versus Derby for Sheffield United. Ryan Manning, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Preston North End, but of course he's suspended for the first game. And Aaron Cash, an unused sub for Birmingham. And Selmo Garcia McNulty, 90 minutes in an 8-2 loss versus Heracles. And Will Ferry, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Motherwell for Dundee United. And Corey Ndaba, an unused sub for Lecce. And that's your defenders over the weekend. Right, Conor, talk to me.
Yeah. Call up Anselmo after losing to 2. David said, no, but in fairness, they got a red card very early in the game. But any word on Cod? I don't know why he was in the squad, Martin.
Is that because his manager might be off somewhere? You wouldn't know, would you?
But
very unsettled. No, I wouldn't. No, I just probably I'm just guessing that managing this injury and whatever it is.
Yeah, they're playing. Actually, they're playing in Europe this week. Come on, so usually when they're playing in Europe, he doesn't play that many minutes back to back.
Which is worrying, isn't it? Like, I mean, look, I know he's had long-term injuries and stuff, but like, he's 30 years old. I mean, that's kind of when he went over there. Just to. Is he 30 years old?
Yeah, he is 30.
Yeah, but he's gone over there. Is it because he just can't cope with the load in a way of Championship and League One? It was going to be if he stayed at Cardiff. I mean, just in and out, hasn't he? Been very frustrating for Ireland fans as well, not seeing him play often. If you have that opinion, of course, or maybe the opposite. But I just think it's just weird. He's consistently not available. So, and there is obviously speculation leading, which we'll come on and chat to after OBIG, about managers and merry-go-round is beginning, isn't it? But speculation will be Keane possibly leaving. I think we'll come on and talk about him a bit more in the squad later on. But a lot of injuries. Omar Bamadeli, what's the situation with that?
I say none because he obviously played midweek. Remember we talked about it in our midweek roundup that he played midweek against, I can't remember, but the one, and then I think maybe it was the training. The next day he picked up a slight knock, so supposedly he's just missed the game of the weekend and he'll be back in the European game this week. But it could take a hit in his chances of making the Ireland squad because it would have been back-to-back starts in the league and it would have been real pressure put on Heimir to make the squad. I'm just thinking now that might just rule that out completely and he'll play this week in Europe and then he'll get the break during the international break. But yeah, so it's not serious, but it's just unfortunate timing for him. A bit worried Coleman can't get a kick. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say Liam Scales, 120 minutes in that Celtic game. How did he play? Did you catch much of that?
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, he's very good. Obviously, he's always has his negatives on the ball in terms of sometimes his passing is a bit off or a bit slow, but all in the defensively, he thought he was superb. I thought he was very good. He's been Celtic's player of the year so far, and there's not much criticism you give to him. And that's really it. Defenders, it was quite a quiet weekend. Obviously, Nathan Collins had the ball in the back of his own net. It's quite poor, but what can you do? It was quite. I seen him blaming the win for that after it meant to be a windy day in London, but I don't know how much you can blame that. But these long showings, I guess someone has to get their head on it, and it bounces off his head when it's the back, doesn't it?
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's a big thing now being talked about, isn't it? Football, this throw-on thing, but yeah, look, it's the risk, isn't it? Being a defender, that's your lot, isn't it? Basically, Carragher was known for own goals, wasn't he? But he often was the one trying to stop shots or get his body in the way and things. So, that is his job, as Roy Keane would say. Right, just on to the midfielders. So Jason Knight still sadly out injured for Bristol City. Killian Phillips, 90 minutes in a 4-1 loss versus Motherwell for St Mirren. Will Smallbone out injured for Millwall. Jack Taylor, 90 minutes in a 4-1 win versus QPR for Ipswich. John Joe Patrick Finn, 10 minutes in a 2-1 loss versus Dunkirk for Stade Rennes. Josh Cullen, 85 minutes in that 2-0 loss versus Arsenal for Burnley. Finn Azaz, 45 minutes, so he's hooked at half-time. 2-0 loss versus Preston North End. Mark Sykes, 90 minutes in a goal and a 5-1 loss versus Everton. And Jason Malumbi out injured at present. Andy Moran, 22 minutes in a 4-1 win versus Austin. And Jamie McGrath, 90 minutes in a goal and a 2-2 draw versus Livingston for Hibernian. Alan Brown, 90 minutes, 3-0 loss versus Watford for Middlesbrough. And Boston Noel still out injured. Conor Coventry, 90 minutes and an assist in a 1-1 draw versus Swansea. Joe Hodge, not in the squad for Tondela. And there's your midfielders. Right.
Yeah. Strange weekend. I don't know what is going on with Joe Hodge, to be honest. I'm a bit confused because what is happening with him at the moment, Martin? He is playing one game. He starts the game. And the next week, he's not even in the squad. And then you're thinking, is he injured? And then the very next week, he's back and then he's starting again. So I don't know if I'm guessing he's managing an injury he can't, they kind of maybe are taking it day by day, how he feels. I know he's really struggled with injuries in the past for such a young player. So maybe it's a day by day thing and it kind of his body decides and last minute, but I hope he's all right. Like, I don't know what is leading to this, because it couldn't be tactical thing, because what sort of manager plays you 1 week and then takes out of the team completely and starts again? Like, it would be back maybe on the bench. So I don't know what is the situation there, but hopefully he's all right, because he would have been one that actually could have maybe put himself in the picture for an Ireland call-up this month, because he's doing really well. It looks like Boston Noel is not going to be back in time anyway, Martin. I know they play midweek, but I seen Stoke City page said last week he's back on the grass with physios, so but that's not back on the grass training. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be there. Conor Coventry got a lovely assist for Charlton against Swansea. I think he's one that's really knocked on the door over the last month to get called up, and he was doing it anyway before that, but I think he's only emphasised it this month. Jimmy McGrath scored an outstanding goal after a minute for Hibs against Livingston, where actually Graham Carey, if you remember, with probably the best left foot in Irish football, with a 90th minute equaliser for Hibs. Then obviously Andy Moore 22 minutes last night. They're advanced to the semi-finals of the Western Conference, which is good to see. Hopefully he'll be starting then. Mark Sykes got another goal, who's I've said before, probably the most underrated player in Irish football. Definitely in the picture for the squad. Definitely will probably be, I don't think he'll be picked, but I think he'd probably be on standby. He's probably one of these lads that'll be on standby. He's really actually a really good player. Azaz, I don't know if you remember, Martin, last week I spoke about that he was playing in a midfield too. And now he's playing on the right wing. So he's getting thrown all about the place under Will Sill. So hopefully with the manager gone, I'm guessing Azaz wasn't a Will Sill. But the way it started happening are when I think they always seem to say when a club has a sporting director and a director of football, they make the decisions in transfers and stuff. So obviously that was there from their research and their stats and whatever. So hopefully maybe under the next manager, he's going to be playing as a number 10 again, and we'll see the best of Finn Azaz, because it definitely wasn't him. Killian Phillips, I know we've always spoke about Johnny Kenny and Liam Scales getting to the Scottish Cup final. Everyone's acting like there's no other team in the final, and St Mirren have got there. So fair play to Killian Phillips in our 90 minutes as St Mirren got there. I don't. It's weird. St Mirren fans think he absolutely love him. Say he's their greatest ever. They're saying he's their greatest ever player, Killian Phillips. So fair play to him. He's doing unbelievable club level. So I know people give out on him for Ireland, but he's doing something.
I think it's a bit harsh giving out in Ireland. I mean, he's at a level and he's I think he probably showed Irish fans how we all kind of feel with getting an opportunity to play for Ireland and enjoying that moment with his family and stuff. And I don't know if it, was kind of not mocked for that, but it was just like, then people then are critical of him. He took the call up and he played okay. And I think it's probably frustration with some of the results and thinking, God, this is the quality player.
He's an easy target, isn't he?
He was an easy target, as you said. So
I'm sure. I think I just think he'll probably be a championship player next year. And just one other person that deserves a shout is Jack Taylor. He's in great form at the moment for Ipswich, doing really well. And I know we questioned why he was in the last squad, but he certainly earned his place in the squad, which he will be named in on Thursday.
Yeah, I expect so as well. Right, we're just going to have a look at the attackers, and then we'll get chatting about the Ireland squad that we think might be picked. Here we go. This is the attackers. Loads of goals coming up here, no doubt, Conor. Festia Vaselli, 1 minute in a 1-0 win.
Great start
versus Colchester. Evan Ferguson out injured, sadly.
Even better.
Roma. Adam Idah, 90 minutes in a 1-1
and a goal.
Swansea, and a goal. Casey McAteer, first goal from open play actually. Casey McAteer, 18 minutes. Troy Parra, 81 minutes, and he missed a penalty, as we said earlier. Sammy Schmodik is out injured, knee injury for Ipswich Town. Sinclair Armstrong, 78 minutes in a 5-1 loss versus Stoke. Bristol City. Mikey Johnson, 90 minutes in a 0-0 draw versus Sheffield Wednesday. And Rocco Batta, 62 minutes in a 3-0 win versus Middlesbrough for Watford. Tom Cannon, not in the squad at Sheffield United, who continue to struggle a bit today. I think they do.
Yeah, very bad.
Chidozie Ogbene, 79 minutes, 2-0 loss versus Derby. And Michael Obafemi, an unused sub for Bochum. Adomo Amaku, 30 minutes in a 2-2 draw versus Oxford for Millwall. Johnny Kenny, 71 minutes and a goal, 3-1 win versus Rangers for Celtic. Louis Barry, not in the squad for Sheffield United. And no Tyler Goodrum. Where's he gone?
I hit him until he's back in the auction squad. I don't know if he's injured or not. Mr. Cannon and Mr. Barry were both dropped from the Sheffield United squad.
No.
For Chris Wilder dropped them. And it didn't seem to go to plan anyway. He must have thought he'd get a reaction out of the rest of the players by dropping lads. But It didn't seem to work. They lost to Derby at home. Terrible result. They're sitting in the bottom 3. Ogbenny, I don't know how Ogbenny done. He played it, according to SofaScore, he played at wing back and seemed to do, he had like a 7.1 rating, which means you had a good performance according to stats, but I don't know what the eye test said. So I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, we spoke about Kenny. Great to see Idah. Superb goal, probably goal of the week. I have him in the golden week in my article.
First goal from open play.
Yeah, first goal from open play, first away goal. Superb finish, took it on the turn outside the box and smashed it in the bottom corner. So fair play. He badly needed that goal, like just for confidence, because it's all well and good scoring a penalty, which was his first goal for Swansea, but getting that goal from open play and getting that sort of goal where it's not just a tap in, it shows that extra bit of class that he does have. We just don't see it enough, and hopefully this is the start of what we can see from Idah, and he has that less pressure on him that the Celtic fans had. Very strange what's going on with Fessy the last couple of games. Didn't play midweek and then played 1 minute the other day. He, I don't know if you've seen my post, Martin, but he got in the Turkish League Team of the Month for October. And then all of a sudden he got dropped. I think it's because their captain is their right back naturally. And then because Fessy's kind of competing with him, it's because he's the captain, he comes back in, he's always going to get minutes. But I did see Fessy put a sarcastic Instagram story up saying like +3 good minutes. And he played 1 minute, so I'm guessing he was a bit annoyed. But it is very strange. Like, he's all their fans love, and then you always see comments given out saying why is Fessy not playing, or saying the sort of thing that other fans saying, "Oh, we want to sign Fessy at all the bigger." I know Istanbul Başakşehir do really well, but they're not like Galatasaray or Fenerbahce and Nîmes anyway. Other players, we don't know what the story is of Ferguson. I don't presume he'll be back, but we'll talk more about the squad in a bit. Mikey Johnson was really, really good, Martin, at the weekend. I know they drew 0-0, but he had a superb game. The biggest worry with the attackers is Rocco Vata. He went off hobbling. They all thought it was a really bad knee injury, but from what I've heard, thankfully it's only his hamstring, but he had to get a scan on it yesterday. Yesterday. No, today. Sorry, today's Monday. Yeah, today. I don't know what the story is yet, if he's heard, but he'll definitely be out for the international break anyway. It looked bad, like he had to be not carried off the pitch, but he had to have people help him off anyway. So he won't be available to get in the Ireland squad. I know you probably have him in your squad. Do you want him in?
No, Martin? I didn't. I don't. No. I don't. No, I have him myself.
Yeah, but it's a big for the 21s. It's a big loss to 21s. Like
that's why I didn't pick him.
Yeah,
and then what a loss! He's a big loss for the under 21s, isn't he?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, he is. On paper, he is probably their best player. Like most experienced player. Probably will break the under 21 record if he's not in the senior, even though he probably would have been a great shot at making the senior squad because he's in brilliant form. But it's just the fact that games we're probably playing. It's Heimir probably will try to make a little change as possible, and he'll probably go with maybe the more counter attack type wingers more than Rocco, who's more just really good breaking team style or shoots from long range. And obviously Troy had a bad weekend with the penalty. Sinclair actually watched that as well whilst I was watching Man United on Saturday. Thought he was quite good. There was not near he could do. They were an absolute mess at the back. Bristol City to see the 3 goals in the first 20 minutes, and then the game was dead by then. So he was good again at the weekend, so which is a good positive sign that he's continued his good run of form. Bristol City's fans are back loving him again, which you always want the fans to be on your pot. And you see hard work. I think his hard work pays off when you put the work in it. You will benefit you. Casey McAteer got his first minutes in a while, actually, as well. But I don't know if he'll make the squad, to be honest with you, Martin. But yeah, that's the forwards.
Any idea where like John O'Shea or any of the coaching staff were? Does any
not a clue.
What games? No.
They don't put. John O'Shea used to always put in his Instagram story. Do you remember he used to always put in his Instagram story to make games, but doesn't post it all anymore. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's the situation. What they're doing that. Maybe I'm sure he is still going to games and Heimir's still going to games, but we just don't know. We don't see it on our TVs, and usually it's Premier League games on TV, and a lot of our lads aren't playing in the Premier League this season, so it's hard to know what the situation is, what it is.
Okay. All right, so that's OB completed. But before we get on to chatting about the Ireland squad and speculating about who we think is going to be picked and select our squads, actually, we do want your interaction, of course. So let us know who you think you'd like to see in the Ireland squad, or any questions you have for Conor or me about anything related to Irish football. We'll try our best to answer. But we will have a little chat, first of all, about a bit of the management role, the managers. Lots of bit of a merry-go-round happening now. Speculation, obviously, we've got an interim manager at Celtic in Martin O'Neill, former Ireland manager, of course, there. Speculation leading Robbie Keane, perhaps linked with that job. Also, he's been linked with Wolves. And, of course, then there's a few other jobs vacancies, isn't there? Southampton's available now as well. So these are all jobs that are going to impact Irish players. So any thoughts on that, Conor? The managerial kind of merry-go-round happening?
I don't know. I don't know what to think, because I don't know what I think of Robbie Keane possibly going to Wolves. I don't think he would. It was reported by Ben Jacobs, who's very, very reliable these days, said that Keane had applied himself. I'd imagine it was maybe whoever I don't know who represents him, maybe put the word in, and his connection at Wolves said he would be interested in the job, became available. But I don't think anything will happen there. I do think they'll just go with someone who has Premier League experience. That's why I do think actually they will go for Ten Hag. He probably will do all right with them. I do think with their squad they have enough to stay up in the Premier League, even though it looks like Sunderland will stay up. So it's going to be two. It looks like it'll be the two boys, Burnley and Leeds will go down, and it'd be one of you'd say the big hitters. Hopefully West Ham, they get a bit of karma for last season with Ferguson, but we'll speak about that. So yeah, I don't think Robbie will go to Wolves, to be honest. It's a big step from Ferran Faris, who he has done brilliantly well with, and they're doing very well in the Europa League so far. It'd be interesting how far they get in the Europa League, because they have a lot of quality in their squad. With he seems to be a brilliant manager. He's loved in Hungary. He was loved in the place we probably shouldn't say the name before we get accused of being. I don't know what we'll get accused of being, but yeah. So hopefully he can keep going with his managerial career. I just don't think Wolves will be the next step, but Celtic could be the next step from either. We just don't know what will happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what you think of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's definitely ambitious, isn't he, Robbie Keane? I think I've always said, as a footballer, he's one of our most underrated players, Robbie Keane. You know, and he hasn't done himself any favors with some of the managerial choices. Let's be honest. But I think he does. You know, the kind of situation with Robbie Keane is that he knocks around with like the big, massive football personalities like Beckham and things, and I don't think he has. He certainly has the right to be in that company, but you know, the kind of personality and stuff, I think that gets a lot of begrudges in Ireland because of that. How that is, whether that's relevant to his football managerial kind of expertise, I don't know. But I had that kind of vibe about him. You know, people don't really want to see him do well. I've always had that. Very critical of him when he kind of forced his way, was kind of the view onto Mick McCarthy's kind of coaching staff. Stephen Kenny didn't want him. So there's a lot of baggage there with Robbie Keane. But I think fair play to him. He's gone away and he's proven himself as a manager and won trophies. And you can't ever knock that for him. I think he naturally will want to come back and test himself at a championship level or Premier League level. And why shouldn't he try and do it? And I could see it happen at Wolves. Obviously, the link from playing there as well. Interesting you said about Erik ten Hag. There's a lot of baggage with Erik ten Hag. Lots of stuff coming out about how he was with the transfer market and things like that, and dodgy dealings a little bit. I think allegedly.
It's not. You have to say alleged. It is what's happened with the agency.
Yeah, that's mad. And it shows you what a basket case Man United were to kind of indulge and allow that. But Robbie, I think it would be a perfect fit for them, although I think they will go down Wolves. I think it needs a big rebuild there. They've got away with it for a number of seasons. Celtic as well. He's got the personality. He will be loved there, I think, at Celtic, apart from the Israel factor. So that's just going to go against him. And whether he's willing at the moment to kind of engage with that and get that grief, or is he such a big name now and big personality that he just dismisses that and says, look, judge me as a manager and I'll get results. And in Scotland, you can get results because it's a Mickey Mouse league, to be honest. He's going to be tested and challenged in Europe, which he's got experience of. So I think he could really well suit there. There'll be a lot of nostalgia and feel-good factor for Robbie Keane as a player and what he did there, in a sense, towards the end of his career, okay. But, you know, he used to go up there as well when he was a Ireland player with Damien Duff watching them when he wasn't playing. So they love that kind of thing, you know, that you're one of us. And that's why they might welcome him there. There'll always be, it's the most divisive fan base anyway, I think, Celtic, because it's just hypocritical at times, in my view, of how they view things. But yeah, he could get a big welcome there and do really well there, because I don't think it's too hard to succeed there. And Dermot Desmond, all them links with Ireland and all that other kind of baggage with it, that might work out well. I'll be interested to see the Southampton job, who gets that as well, because obviously my worry is Bazunu. I want him to
if Russell Martin gets the job back, which is getting thrown out there, that Russell Martin can actually get the job back, that would be brilliant for Gavin, because Russell Martin really liked Gavin, and always, in fairness, I know he got a lot of stick for the Rangers time, and He did guess what happened to the Premier League, which can't be forgotten. But he was a massive fan of Gavin Bazunu and played a big part in the reason why Southampton played the way they did, because of his style of goalkeeping. So I don't think it would be all. I know probably for club wise, it probably would be great to bring him back in, because you should never go back to someone, as to say, Barton, once it's done.
The Wolves are going to do the same, aren't they?
Wolves looking to do the same? Gary Neal's pulled out of the race. I've seen David Ornstein tweeted a couple of hours ago saying that. So they won't be going back to him. Maybe they'll go back to Terry O'Connor.
Yeah. Crazy though. Like it's just a mad. Mick could get in the job there. You wouldn't be surprised. Anything in football. But yeah, I mean that's Look, that's just my view.
Congratulations for all the people who are questioning our loyalty to Martin O'Neill. Congratulations to Martin O'Neill on reaching the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah, well done, Martin. Yeah, great. He's got a fantastic record against Rangers, hasn't he, as well? I think they're still going on about that. But yeah, that's just my views on the managerial.
Did you actually see? Was it Negran had spoke after the game, and they said, he was like, "Oh, yeah, Martin, he's funny. Like he's like he likes to tell us like what he's achieved in his career and all the experience he has." I was like, "That's our Martin."
Yeah,
he'll tell you exactly what he's achieved. I'd say they're sick of hearing the name Brian Clough.
Jesus, oh god, yeah, very very true. So yeah, that's just our thoughts on a managerial bit as well. But while we're here, just before we go on to comments and chat about as well our predicted squads, just to remind you that you can help support the pod, of course, and support the show by joining Lansdowne Raw Plus, which is our fantastic behind the scenes extra content. We've got Raw Retro on that. We've got State of Play, which is our take on all things Irish football. So we did have a little chat about Martin O'Neill getting the interim job a few weeks ago. It's a bit off the cuff, this one, and it's a bit no holds barred. So yeah, if you want to support that, $4.99 and whatever currency you pay. But yeah, it does help support the pod, and we thank you as well. I know we've got regulars who are watching this evening who are big supporters of us. So thank you for that. Do give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to see. And yeah, we'll continue to give you some fantastic content, as we will for this international window coming up. As I said, we're off to Dublin for Portugal, Ireland. Expected to be a sellout. They've announced it's a sellout, but there are a few tickets, I think, premium level still available. And of course, we've got about 3,000 traveling over to Hungary, which is amazing support for that last game of the qualification campaign at the moment in the group stage. We'll be there covering that, and that's where the lads are in the stadium pre-match doing the show, giving you the latest breaking news of the team, going through that, getting your views as fans, and also immediately after the final whistle from inside the stadium again, Wi-Fi permissible as well.
Don't say that because Dave always says that.
Dave always whinges.
And it's never a problem.
But yeah, it's never a problem, and we're not in third world countries. But anyway, yeah. Just to let you know, that's what you get with us. So we
and actually as well,
doing that.
There's only I'm discussing Martin. There's only 10 likes on the YouTube video at present. You have to at least double it to 20.
Yeah,
20 in the next 10 minutes, or Dave will be brought back on the channel, and your ears will burst. Yeah.
Right, here we go. We're going to get to your comments very, very soon. Keep them coming, but we want to just go through the Ireland squad, which we think was going to be selected, or individually, we're going to go through our squads. But so we're going to base this off the back of this is the squad that was selected. Here you go, just on the graphic there for our viewers here. We've selected and shown the squad that was selected for the Portugal away game and also the home game against Armenia. And that was obviously Kelleher, Bazunu, Travers, Coleman, Jake O'Brien, Darrow O'Shea, Nathan Collins, Liam Scales, John Egan, Ryan Manning, Callum O'Dowda, Will Smallbone, Josh Cullen, Jack Taylor, Malumbi, Finn Azaz, Evan Ferguson, Adam Idah, Troy Parrott, Mikey Johnson, Casey McAteer, Chidozie Ogbene, Sammy Schmodix, and Festia Basile. Right, Conor, you going first?
No, you go first because I don't know. You always get accused of copying.
Here we go.
Right, you have to go through the whole squad. You just go through the changes that you want to make.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, well, I need to figure that out because I've got my notes here. Right. The goalkeepers anyway. First of all, I'm changing that straight away. Kelleher, Bazunu will make it for me. Still one of our most experienced backup goalkeepers, but I'm bringing Josh Keeley in. I'm thinking of the future with Ireland. I can't have Travers and Max O'Leary. I know one of them's injured, but not having that.
He's not injured. He doesn't get playing.
He just doesn't play yet. And so I think it's time for Josh Keeley to be rewarded for playing week in, week out for Luton and bring him in and into that squad. That's my goalkeeper's choice. I've also, my defenders, I've gone Coleman, Jacob Ryan, Darrow Shea, Collins. I've kept John Egan in there. Manning, I've selected as my 24th man because I think he'll come in for the second game. I've got O'Dowda in there, barring injury, of course. And I've got Omar Bamadelli also selected and Liam Scales. That is my defenders. I've got Josh Cullen, Malumbi, Finazaz, Jack Taylor, Andy Moran. And I've also selected Alan Brown.
Dave, by the way, Dave is in the comments now. So Dave is in the comments pulling his.
And I've got Adam Idah, Parrott, Johnson, Ogbene, Festi. I've got Casey McAteer and I've got Sinclair Armstrong. And that's my 25.
Did you say Kenny? You'd Kenny as well, did you?
I got him in there.
Johnny
No, I have. Yeah, no, I have. No, I haven't selected him in this one. Where am I gone? No, I've actually left Casey McAteer out and I've gone Johnny Kenny. Sorry.
So you've gone with 4 strikers.
Yeah.
Did you actually? Sorry, I did miss on defenders. No, I didn't miss defenders. But did you say Doherty? Because Nick has commented Doherty is injured. Gee, don't worry. So don't worry. Or maybe maybe it was someone else to comment that. But David Dunn's probably talking about how Alan Brown scored all these big goals for Ireland when he scored against Scotland in the Nations League, and then scored a friendly against Belgium. But anyway, my changes I would make are Keeley for Bazunu or Travers. You can take your pick in my eyes at the moment. Obviously, Bazunu is a better long-term potential than Travers, but he's not playing at club level, and I would rather probably have Everton's backup keeper than Southampton's, to be honest with you. I would have Will Ferry in this. I'm going off that previous squad, so I'd have Will Ferry in the squad instead of Manning as such, as like that extra defender. That's the only change I'd make to defence at the moment. I'd have Smallbone out for Conor Coventry. Did you have Conor Coventry in your squad?
No, I didn't actually. No.
Conor Coventry in for Smallbone. Obviously in a deeper midfield. I think he should definitely be in the squad. I'd have Alan Brown in as well in midfield, just to add into that. So that's sort of the Malumbi thing for the first game. So then you've that 2 extra. Yeah. So as such that we have picked a 25-man squad. So it's your usual 23 as such that Malumbi and Manning are still in my eyes, but obviously they're missing the first game. And then you have Ferry and Brown in for them for maybe the first game. And then the 2 attacking changes I've made is Sinclair Armstrong for Evan Ferguson, presuming Evan Ferguson's out, and then Johnny Kenny for Casey McAteer. I would have had Rocco Vata in the squad if I thought he was fit, and Sinclair can also play off the left if needed. But we've seen in Portugal last month, we played Ogbene and Festi on the left, so we can see Ogbene is a left-sided option, not just right. So, and I do think I just can't not pick Johnny Kenny or Sinclair Armstrong. I just think you have to, and we are presuming it's going to be a 25-man squad just for anyone because of Manning and Malumbi missing the first game. And the reality is they're just too important to us to not have in for the second game. And the reality is, are we going to bring them in? We play Thursday, Sunday. Are we going to fly those lads over to Hungary on the Friday with the rest of the squad after missing the whole week of training and leave them with their clubs? Unless it's money saving, which I know it won't be at this stage. Yeah, they have to have them in the squad. And then I just went through just some possible options that people could have that could make the squad that are probably standby. Actually, the fact you've actually went with Andrew Moran and I haven't gone with Andrew Moran is a massive. I just think the fact because he's never going to play him in these sort of games. Like he's not going to play Andy. So as much as I want to see him in the squad, it's just these sort of games he's not going to play him. So the other options that could come in, Mark Sykes is a relatively good option that could be in as another wing back option, who was going to come into actually the last squad over Ferry before he got injured. Idah Maka, who's doing really well with Millwall, another winger that could come in. Gillian Phillips obviously as well because he's been there before. I don't think he'll, just because I think Alan Brown probably took his place now, how well he's doing. Jimmy McGrath, who's doing really well with Hibs, but everyone just seems to forget about Jimmy McGrath. But I just think because I think Azaz has kind of took his spot as that number 10 in that team, and Smodic was obviously there as well. So I think he's Joe Hodge as well. If he was fit, I think he is fit, but I just don't know what his minutes. I think he has been every game for Tondela. He would be another great shout. Bamadelli as well, who I know you have him in yours, Martin, but I just think maybe missing the other day might have derailed that momentum and would give maybe Heimir an excuse to leave him out because Johnny. Yeah,
and also Jimmy Dunn could easily be in there as well.
I don't want QPR doing really bad. QPR been awful at the moment to lose. And then the last one, and the last one of them lads that obviously other than Jimmy Dunn, the last one other like that is Josh Honohan. So I do think he's an option, but he is injured. He got injured a couple of weeks ago. Didn't play the last league game. I don't know whether he was just rested or he was left out for any other reason. But it looks like he's actually going to go to Lincoln in January. He's definitely leaving, but it looks like Lincoln's going to happen. Dan McDonald said, which is quite disappointing. They'll be going to League One, but I guess maybe that's the way you're working your way back up. But I can't really see anyone else really being in that picture as such to break into the squad from maybe any other options. There's no one really else that's standing out. I don't know if anyone could say in the comments that I forgot there for possible options that could still come in, but I don't think so.
I think, the likes of like Jimmy Dunn, Killian Phillips, players who've been in and around the squad will get in before anyone knew. I think he will do that. He's going to go out on his shield. Heimir, he's going to.
Yeah. That's his last squad. If it is technically his last squad of his contract.
Yeah.
I know technically if he gets to playoffs, he'll be continued on to then anyway. But it is technically his last squad of probably is like you'd say it's probably 60% chance, even though we think we're going to win both games. It's probably going to be 60% chance that he's now it's going to be his last squad. And yeah, I do agree actually what you're saying about Jimmy Dunn and like the Killian Phillips, Mark Sykes as well. That they're more like if, say, for example, it was between Mark Sykes or maybe Killian Phillips and Andrew Moore to come in the squad, and there was not like he thought there was not between picking them in the squad. I think he would go with Phillips. Not obviously he's flying from America more, so that would be a negative for him. But I just think, as you said, he would go with lads that are used to the squad, lads that he knows that are good around the camp. They're not going to play him if not playing. Jimmy Dunn is a good example of that. He's just happy to be there. Obviously, every player wants to play, but he knows his role in the squad. And if he's not going to play, you'd say maybe the ultimate cheerleader on the sidelines and getting lads prepared for games and doing everything perfect. So I don't think or even like Anselmo Garcia McNulty, Dave will want to cry, but he's not going to get brought in at this stage to the squad, even though he is. I know they got battered the weekend, but he is doing very well at club level.
I see a few comments coming in. We're just going to get onto them very, very soon. But I mean, one thing I'd say about this is going to be very interesting. The squad's going to be interesting, which is announced on Thursday. We'll have it all covered here. But also, I think a couple of other things. How Heimir approaches it, because it is at the moment it will be his final squad. Because barring Ireland qualifying for the playoff, that's it. The contract's up. Whether he is going to be renewed or whatever, the FAI will obviously make that decision. But I think it's going to be interesting how the press, media, and former players, also possible future Ireland managers, how they kind of cover this window as well. Looking at how they analyze the how we analyze obviously the selection of the squad, the performance of the coaches as well. I think that's going to be key for me. It's going to be quite intriguing because you're going to see people who their comments, because we do see that obviously Kilban we've seen come out and speak about Carsley should be brought in now. You do have. They've got friends in the media, some of these managers and things like that. We'll hear from Gary Breen, no doubt, as well. Shay Given. We've got very opinionated pundits who follow Irish football. But it'll be interesting to see who's kind of putting their hat in the ring, in a sense, for that job, because I think it's an attractive job. Whatever happens in this qualification campaign, Ireland are going to be in Euro 2028, right? So, you've got the makings of a very, very good squad day. Set them up right. We should be being competitive, and it's an attractive job, I think. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that's covered. And of course, it's quite intriguing in a way, isn't it, Conor, that Ireland are playing on Thursday night against Portugal, needing at least a point to stay in contention, barring the other result. We probably will need a point. And also then Friday, Ireland under-21s travel to take on England in Birmingham. That's a key game as well against Lee Carsley's under-21s. I mean, it's just intriguing, isn't it? The links with Irish football still there. And then obviously we're off to Hungary. But I think it's going to be very interesting how the press cover this and what is asked in these press conferences as well. Because if I was sitting in front of Heimir, I'd be thinking, this is your last squad. And what is your future with Ireland now? How are you feeling the pressure? Like, how are you approaching this, really? Because it's,
I think he can't really, but he can't really approach it as this is my last squad. This is my job. He just approach it as he thinks what he's right that'll get him.
Yeah, so that's why I think he'll be very loyal to. He won't. He'll
won't
go out on his shield.
He's not going to
bring people in who are just like, even if Boston was fit, would he throw him in there? Conor Coventry, would he do that?
I think he put them in the squad, but I don't think he'd go in. Yeah, maybe unless he thinks he has to take a risk. Maybe it's something I have to take a risk. But like the likes of the thing is with the squad with our next manager, you know that probably Duff and Stephen Bradley would take it in a heartbeat, and then it's who's after that. I do think, by the way, Kevin Kilbane has spoke with Paul Nealon, there's something going on there with Lee Carsey that Lee Carsey still wants wanted the Ireland job and just was probably felt very disrespected by the way Mark Cannon was handled. Who he can that's what I see in my eyes. I think wasn't revealed, and I do think Lee Carsey, because the way if the reality was how close that Kevin Kilbane and Lee Carsey is, if Lee Carsey had no interest in the job and he was saying he had no, Kevin Kilbane wouldn't be going on about, oh, Lee's man, we have to get Lee. Just offer them job. Obviously, the FAI were probably trying to invite him in for interviews and stuff, and hopefully the likes of Shane Robinson, John Martin would be brilliant at this sort of thing, because we all know how well they've done at Rovers. But then obviously I've heard that the relationship isn't amazing with Stephen Bradley there, so I don't know how much that'd affect that. But I think maybe when it came into international suspect, things squared away. Club football is completely different. And then Duff obviously is your other standard option. I've always said myself that if you had the choice of any Irish manager anywhere, Kieran McKenna would be a number one choice if that became available. And obviously he's been linked quite heavily with the Celtic job. And it looks like he would actually consider leaving Ipswich for Celtic, which is probably shows like he is from Fermanagh. A lot of people from Enniskillen grew up as Celtic fans, so probably that's where his loyalty went as a child. So probably that's where he maybe sees himself as a fan at club level. But so I do think if he was an option, I'd be all, obviously money wise stuff. Maybe he might be expensive. And then Brendan Rodgers is still a viable option. I do think at this stage, he probably wouldn't be number one choice, because I just don't know how he'd adapt to international football with the style he plays with the players we have. But he's Ireland's, when you look at it, he's probably Ireland's most successful ever manager in club football. Is he Ireland's greatest ever club football manager? What he done with Celtic, what he done with, I know he wasn't the manager one Celtic or Leicester.
Martin O'Neill would be. Martin O'Neill would be, wouldn't he?
Why?
He won with Celtic. Got to European Cup finals.
He did.
Finals. Won League Cups.
He did. Yeah, actually, probably. But he won the FA Cup with Leicester, didn't he? And got them into the Champions League.
League Cup he won. Yeah.
No, he did when Ben Chilwell scored that last minute winner against Chelsea. Was that not he was the manager?
No.
FA Cup.
Oh, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers.
Who?
Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, that was yeah.
But actually, it is quite. Actually, the two of them actually have a compelling argument. They both managed Celtic, but in terms of club level, he's up there. Obviously, he's top 3 Irish managers ever in any club level. So, Kieran McKenna just looks impossible. But Brendan Rodgers just become an option. I don't know who else he can go for after there. You start going for them like Gus Poyet, start options, start even lads from different countries. But you want an Irishman at this stage.
I think, I mean that's the key for me, Irishman. I think I'm going to contradict that though. What I say, I want an Irishman. I want Lee Carsley, basically. I'm convinced by I thought it was a fantastic interview with Paul Nealon with Kilbane, to be fair. And he just spoke passionately. He's best mates with him. And I think he was disrespected and just thought the FAI are an absolute shit show in the background. This lad is nothing compared to me and knows nothing about football, Mark Cannon. And he's just a chancer. And the other lad before him, Jonathan Hill, was the same. Until the FAI get their house in order, I'm not getting involved. And he felt disrespected with the whole recruitment. It's different now. I'm hoping it's different with the lads involved and now in it. David Carell, obviously CEO. I'm thinking massive opportunity. 2028, we're there. Bring in Lee Carsley now, proven winner at bringing through young players and working with young players and coaching them to be better. And that's what this team needs. And I think you've got a massive opportunity there. Imagine the feel-good factor. Lee Carsley's appointed to be the Ireland manager, with all that history of his success as an international manager underage. But all his former teammates are going to back him. I can't think many people would be against the appointment. Whereas I think others carry baggage. Like Stephen Bradley, still you'll have the League of Ireland. Some of them will be going, oh, who is he? That you will still have that. With some Ireland fans, they wouldn't have a clue who he is. Duffer as well, you'd be questioning the temperament, and he walked away and all this kind of stuff. How long is he in there? Brendan,
and he's not blocking.
Okay, Brendan, no, you're thinking of Brendan. You'll think, like Duff's had fallings out if AI walked away before. You're thinking Roy too long out of it. John O'Shea tarred with 2 things. I mean, Keith Andrews in a few years' time, maybe if he continues to do as well as he's doing. Kieran McKenna has done very well, but I think it's too early for him to come and be an international manager. I think the good positive thing with Lee Carsley is he has been an international manager. He's used to it, and I think what you do is what Kevin Kilban alluded to, you say to him, yeah, we do have this pathway plan. That's all fine. Will help you understand Irish football, because I think he will get it, because it's not difficult. I mean, he's not worked in the League of Ireland and things like that, Lee Carsey, and it's a particular kind of thing to understand it. But you'll have that credibility of what you've achieved at under 21 level. You're an absolute winner, and you've worked, and you've been the England coach against Ireland, ironically, when they were hammered at Wembley. I think you could just say you're rebuilding Irish football, and the feel good and the support you'd have from former teammates like Kilban in the press banging the drum for you would be a massive thing to lift Irish football. That's the fact of it. My only concern is, I mean, I have read an article with him before when he said the World Cup didn't really feel part of it when he was there in 2002. He's not an outsider, he's Irish, but obviously he has gone and been playing for with England and that kind of thing. We just have to get over that, I think. But it's an interesting argument. But yeah, like Brendan, maybe time of his career. Yeah. Does he want the national football? I think Chris Hume is too late for him. I don't want that argument.
I'm sorry, names don't.
Yeah, that's not developing Irish football.
Lennon again,
he covers. He covers every base. Lee Carsey does for me. Unless the plan is that you just Heimir goes if they don't qualify, and it is the succession plan has always been there, and it's John O'Shea just comes in and goes right now.
Jim Crawford could be an option, but he'd probably have to qualify for a tournament first, not against him. But I just think maybe you have to prove that you've gone that level above that no under-21 manager has done.
Yeah, you need success. Yeah.
So I do think maybe he could be the next after whoever takes.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But that was the thing though back in the day, though, wasn't it? That was the thing. Brian Kerr had that success. So the succession plan was in. I will bring in Brian Kerr, and that's what they tried. And it just didn't work.
The problem is now, if Heimir gets to the playoff, are they going to consider having contract talks or keeping Heimir in? And which I was quite disappointed when I seen that Heimir postponed contract talks in September. Like, I was thinking, what? Why is that even on the table? It's even being considered at this stage. It was way too early. Like, people need to calm down. Like, but hopefully it's all sorted soon. But it'll be all good.
That's the kind of agent stuff, isn't it? Right, we're going to get on to your comments, but thank you, just over 1,000 of you watching this evening. Thank you for your support, and also you can get the audio version of this on Spotify. And what can I do on Spotify, the listeners?
Give us a 5-star rating. We're actually on 99 ratings on Spotify, so be our 100 rater or be our 101 if it's someone more people have to ask. So yeah, and actually, if you want to watch back the Under 17 World Cup preview, I have put it in the description of this video with the link to that. So obviously, don't watch it while you're watching live. You can watch it back after you watch this. We're on 19 likes now at YouTube on this, so get us up to 30 likes by the time this is done. Helps us grow massively. But we'll probably get into the comments, will we, Martin?
Yeah, we will. Here we go. It's just chatting for over an hour now. Hope you're enjoying the show, and thanks again for joining us this evening, and want to get your interaction, of course. So here we go. This is the first comment of the evening. Long time ago now, but Nick Can says, what's the predicted score of Ireland versus Portugal with Evan Ferguson out? What are you going for your prediction? We will be doing a preview show, of course, but what are you going for?
1-0 Sinclair Armstrong.
Okay, I'm going for 1.
I mean, it was going to be 1-0. I remember I was saying we actually spoke about did we speak about the other day that I said we'd get a free kick and Sinclair Armstrong would win us a free kick on the edge of the box and someone would score. And I couldn't. We have no one that can take a free kick because it would be like Smallbone or someone with Smallbone's injured. So we know, and obviously Manning as well, but Manning can't play. Manning would be the set piece. It'd be like Cullen or something. So yeah, it'll be Sinclair. He'll just score himself.
Okay. So I'm going to go for 1-1. I think we'll be in it going off to Hungary with a chance, and I would take that now, to be honest. I just don't want that disappointment, Conor, of a loss and then we can't qualify.
Yeah, we are goose like if we draw and Hungary win in Armenia. We go win like 3-0 away or something like.
Yeah,
we do need to, unless I know it depends on the first game, but could you imagine the scenes in Lansdowne Road if we're going into the game after Armenia have beat Hungary or Armenia have drawn with Hungary? The thing will be even more bouncing than it will be in general.
Yep, and we'll have it all covered, of course, and we'll be there on Thursday, and we'll be pre-match, and we'll be chatting about where we're going to be very, very soon. All right, Kieran Leo going to Rome this weekend for a match, and of course, Evan gets injured. Also, Conor didn't see any under-17 World Cup players from Monaghan.
There's not, Kieran. There's a shot at Monaghan. But yeah, enjoy. I know he's going to actually Rome against Udinese this weekend. hopefully he enjoys that. Maybe Evan might be back, might be on the bench, you might get to see him, but that'll be a good game to go to.
Okay. And Shane Brown, with Malumbi out for Portugal, Alan Brown has to be in with a shout for centre midfield role with Josh Cullen. And he also says and clarifies, he's no relation, by the way. He looks like a new lease of life for him at Borough.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, he's been excellent. He's been brilliant for them so far.
And he did have injury problems, didn't he? Broke his leg, didn't he? It took a while to come back from that. So fair play to him. Yeah, I mean, he's not the most popular Ireland player, I think, ever, but he's very versatile.
Did he break his leg?
Huh? He broke his leg. Oh,
yeah.
He did. He did. Alan Brown. Yeah. Fractured leg. Yeah, he did, yeah.
Must have been a long time ago, was it? Or have I just lost my memory?
No, he just seemed to be out for a long time with it. Yeah, look it up. Don't doubt me. Ben McElwain, when is the squad announced? And Shane answers that. Shane, one of our Lansdowne Roar Plus supporters, Thursday is confirmed. Fractured
he broke a bone in his leg.
Yeah, and he was out for a long time.
He was out for 68 weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not a problem. I was thinking you were like he missed like 2 years of his career when he was like 21.
No, but 68 weeks every year, isn't it?
68 weeks is not a huge
6 to 8 weeks or 6 to 68.
No, 6 to 8 weeks. He was out for 6 to 8 weeks. I want to say, not 68 weeks.
That. I thought that's very precise medically. That 6 to 8 weeks. He did seem to be out a long time though, and he came back, and then it went wrong again. I'm pretty sure that was the case.
You're probably on about like Darragh Lennon or something.
No, Darragh Lennon again. Yeah, I felt very sorry for him. He was a good lad. He done well at Blackburn, didn't he, for a while? And he was. Yeah. Yep. And then Ben just says thanks to Shane. 68 weeks, more than a year. Oh, brilliant. Right, Daniel, any chance of this Dave fella turning up? Well, Daniel, what can we say? And then Jason Fitzsimmons, regular viewer and supporter of the show. Hi, lads. When's the squad being announced? Also, who would you like to see in the midfield for the squad announcement with all of the injuries? We did go through our squads earlier, but we're looking to. We've got a bit of a mixed bag there, haven't we? Conor Coventry, we think will be in it. Even though I didn't pick him, but you reminded me that he's available. So I think Josh Cullen certainly start, of course, and so you put alongside him, and I think Alan Brown will be in for a shout to get in there just with the experience from being in previous squads. When was the last Ireland squad he was in? I can't remember. You remember that off the top of your head? Alan Brown.
England and Greece last year.
Okay. All right. So yeah. John O'Mahony, after excellence of Conor and Dave's excellent show on the under-17s, who are the best players from the under-19s and the under-21? And has Zeffy and Razi found a new club yet?
No, Zeffy's training with a club abroad. Razi hasn't yet, but I know he has options. I think he's just waiting to make the right choice. Best players in 19s, I think the obvious one is Ike Razi, who's been unbelievable himself. Probably an hour and Joe Maloney are the two big names in that. And like 21s, there's say really anyone media. Trent Conor-Doherty, Rocco Vat has probably been the best player so far. Him and Jamie Mullins, you'd say, are the two standout names so far. And then even Romeo Akachuk, who hasn't even played yet for them. He's been on the bench and all the matches. I think he will, when he gets his chance, he'll tear it up. And then when Jack Moorhouse and Owen Elding come in, we'll be speaking very highly of them. But Jack Moorhouse would definitely be in this week's name squad anyway. I don't think citizenship is done yet. It's just a waiting game. But yeah, hopefully it's all good.
Just on the subject then of just for those of you unfamiliar, perhaps we do a League of Ireland show as well. Conor and Dave do a fantastic job in that. Mace Amelia, did you see the comments? Obviously, Stephen Kenny quite disappointed that he didn't get in the team of the season. Do you agree with that assessment? And what's your view on that, Conor? Very quickly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was a disgrace he didn't win St. Pat's Player of the Year as well. I thought he was easily Pat's best. I know, obviously, Chris Forrester is a legend, League of Ireland, one of the best players ever. But I just thought Amelia, what he done for them this season was so underrated. He scored he was the second top goal scorer, 13 goals in a really pursed Pat side. He literally put that team on his back and won them games on his own and carried them up the pitch on his own, doing so much dirty work. So yeah, I thought he was unbelievable this season. I think he was their best player. I think he was the best striker in the league. Obviously, Amon finished top row scorer and he is an unbelievable player. But I just think what Media offered overall was ridiculous. I think, as I've said before and I said again, he's the best young player to ever play in the League of Ireland. People keep going on about have you by Paul McGrath and like Paul McGrath and Roy Keane. It's like Paul McGrath didn't make his League of Ireland debut till he was 21. Like, people can't understand the context of who was the greatest player to ever play in the League of Ireland and who is the greatest young player to ever play in the League of Ireland. It's completely different. It's a bit like saying, like, maybe like Michael Owen was probably the greatest young player to ever play in England when he won the Ballon d'Or because he won that. But doesn't mean he's the greatest ever player to ever play in England. There's different context. But yeah, Mealy he's a potential superstar. Like, he's just a joy to watch.
I agree with you as well. And I'm fortunate to have caught him live a few times, obviously, this season as well when I was over. Yeah, fantastic. Really exciting as well. And that's what we want. We want to see these players doing well, of course. Nick then talks, we were chatting earlier about players in good form for Ireland. We have no players in red hot form. Idah's penalties are solid, to be fair. Just chatting about the speculation. Well, us debating who would take penalties for Ireland. Should we get one? And whatever striker on the pitch is what Nick says should take the penalties. Donny Nagel says Gasparini said yesterday Ferguson will be out for 1 or 2 weeks. Looks like he will be fit for Hungary at least. Don't know if that's been confirmed though, and it'll be interesting to see what Ireland do on that. Heimir, if he does select him or speaks about that, obviously in the press conference. Nick also says Omar Bamadeli was brilliant in the midweek game. Hope it's just a minor knock, and hopefully he'll be back next week. Declan also says Conor Coventry's got to be in the squad again for me. Here's one for you, Conor. Is it too soon for Oisin McEntee to be included?
Yeah, too soon. Hearts, he's been brilliant at Hearts, in fairness, top of the Scottish League, but yeah, I think it's too soon.
Okay. And Donny, another one for you. Can we finally all admit that Andrew Moran isn't the player we think he is? He barely gets a look in at LAFC. Come on now, Conor. Focus.
No, he is. Finally, yeah, but I do think if the playoffs, he's not this regular starting the playoffs, I think he'll probably just he should go back to Europe and go do something in Europe. And I did show the clip last week of Hurstler speaking so highly of him, saying how good he thinks he is and that he was really considering putting him in the Premier League squad this year, but just decided against it last minute. But yeah, don't worry, Andy will still be a top player.
Okay. And also Sligo Boy says through repetition, Parrott will improve. Your stats are too quick for me to digest. That was in relation to me reading out the Obig, and Bristol was full of tits. Happy Mondays when Mon is in town, says Sligo Boy as well. Nick Can, this is what we were chatting a little bit about earlier. Has the FAI lined up anybody to take over the senior international team? Not at present. Nothing's been just obviously speculation. We were just talking about the managerial merry-go-round in a way that Southampton looking for a manager, Wolves looking for a manager. So too are Celtic, of course, all the big teams. And Gerard McGann says John Percy from the Telegraph saying Eric Ten Hag isn't considered a serious contender at present. And Anissa V. Mason says Robbie Keane and Celtic will never happen. The board have pissed off the fans enough. And Sligo Boy says Anissa V. Mason, Keane is not of a certain caliber for that post yet. There's a few comments when I said it was a Mickey Mouse league. Mickey Mouse made a lot of money, so just saying. And doesn't he matter to me as long as we're all Mickeys. And then Russell Martin is such a shite manager, says Nick. So we were chatting about the we're going to move on a little bit. Just chatting about we had a bit of a chat, didn't we, Conor, about the squad. And talking about Sligo Boy says, yep, Super Kenny. G says Alan Brown, nah, get Moran in. Nick says got to bring in Coventry, he's solid. And Sinclair Armstrong can also play left of a front three, says Donny Nagel. I think he would be great there. You said that earlier, didn't you, Conor, as well?
Yep.
Happy with that?
Yeah, agree. Yeah, agree. Donny speaking facts. His last comment was wrong, but this one was definitely right.
And Gerard also says it will be a 25-man squad to accommodate the suspended players coming back in after the game. And G says I'd start Armstrong and Parrott. Who would you start then, Conor?
I told you Sinclair Armstrong. I told you this like 18 months ago. I would start Sinclair Armstrong in these games. I'm not going to change my opinion now. Who would you start?
I'd actually, yeah. I mean, I've been taught. We had a good chat, didn't we, about what Sinclair Armstrong offers here with this. But I think, you know, and especially with Evan Ferguson out now, yeah, I would go with Sinclair Armstrong because I think we've probably got to look after Idah a little bit. I think there's going to be a moment with Adam Idah. I just feel for him a little bit. I think he's been proper damaged by Celtic again. I know I've seen very Celtic bashing this evening, but that was not a good experience for him. And I think he's a better player than that level anyway. But he's just got to prove it. And I think there's a moment in him if he has the right attitude. And, he's been questioned by Heimir. He's got something to prove. Did it before as well, didn't he? Shushed him. But I think there could be a moment in him, especially with Evan not being there. Gonna gives him an opportunity, doesn't it? G also says Heimer's last home game. Yeah, well, he's done a great job, hasn't he? He's sold it out. It's nothing to do with the opposition, of course. Donny Nagel also says no guarantee Malumbi will be fit. He's still out now.
I think he should be all right. The way they're speaking, he should be okay.
And G also said, I'd like to see Hodge in that squad. We ceiling.
It means high ceiling.
Oh, high ceiling. And I'd like to see Hodge in that squad. Oh, yeah, sorry, high technical ability. Hodge and Moran will be starting in midfield in Euro 2028. And he says he'd also have Carsley now. Should have been in the job 18 months ago. Donny Nagel says, right now, guys, percentage-wise, what are chances of making the playoffs?
Right, our chances probably, you'd say probably 15%, because the reality is on paper, like, we have a very low percentage chance of beating Portugal at home, and you'd expect Hungary to beat Armenia away. So yeah, it's probably like a 15% chance. But say, for example, if results go in our favour and we get 3 points and Hungary gets 0, I'm sure that'll flip massively. But I would say it's only 15% right now.
Yeah, Donny Nagel says 38%. Just saying. Carsley with Collins, Hodge, Moran, Ferguson, Parrott, yep. And that Nick says, and Carsley would love Andy Moran. Carsley would build a squad for Euro 2028, says G. Donny Nagel also says, at first I thought no way Armenia will get anything against Hungary, getting more positive the closer it gets. I think that's going to be a really good game though, isn't it? It's going to be before R1 as well, so it'd be interesting. I'll have to have a look back at my notes. The night I spent trying to work out all the scenarios and what we would be on points going into this. I don't think I don't
know. I'll tell you what are you confused about? Hungary are 1 point ahead of us.
No, I know that. No. I'm saying when the night I think we were on WhatsApp having a good chat, and I was saying, look, this is how we're going to do it. This is going to happen. And when we go to play Portugal at home, they will have played and they will be on this. And then this happened. Yeah. And it was all that, trying to work out all them different kind of scenarios. Sligo boy, McKenna is tied to a lucrative and lengthy contract that would be costly to Celtic. Yep. G says, look at Armenia playing us off the pitch. Wouldn't happen under Carsley. Rogers, we don't have to do to keep him in Gucci trainers and Dior tracksuits. He won't wear pennies. And Nick makes a very big point here. Brendan Rodgers didn't rate Lowell. Don't want him.
He did because he made a real snarry comment. Actually meant, I think Freddie Turley, Francis Turley from Belfast, who actually made his debut for Celtic last season and played a couple of times. And no behold, never really has been seen since with the first team, or has been seen, but he hasn't really got an opportunity in the team. And he was giving out, he was like, oh yeah, Francis is waiting for his turn, he's taking his time developing here, whilst we have some other lads didn't want to wait for their chance. And stuff like this, basically taking shots in that Boston should have waited for his chance, and he would have got his chance if he waited, but he wanted to go out and play football. Oh my God, professional footballer wants to play football every week. Shock.
Yeah. Martin Fitzpatrick. No, don't do it. No hope for next window. So disappointing.
Martin, is your name David Dunn?
Yeah, let's be positive. We'll all spend loads of money watching them. And this G says, I concur. Carsley is letting us know he's available. And Sligo Boy says Carsley could be Farsley. G also says he can attract a lot of talent, plug the holes, rebuild them with a lot of young players with a lot of caps. Sligo Carsley ticks every box, says G. And Nick also says Carsley's supposedly only on 400 grand per year with England 21, so he's affordable. And G also says, I sack Heimir if he got to play off it. It won't happen, no. And he also says, yeah, he's affordable. Also, if he resurrects Ireland, his stock goes through the roof. Predictions. G says 4-1 to Portugal. Sligo Boy says 6-1 to Portugal. We have to win, says G. Germany 2015 vibes. And then Nick says 0-0, brutal game, but a chance of going through against Hungary. Martin Fitzpatrick says we are toilet. G says we are what's in the toilet. Just toilet humour. Danny Nagel, guys, are you sure if Laurel won't be fit in time? Heard he was back training. We've just had a mention about that. He's back doing physio on the grass, but not physically training as such with a ball or anything like that. Andy Moran looks a tricky number 10, says Shane Brown. Dan Finazaz, but we'll need physical presence and energy against Portugal, which Brown would give us. Malumbi is back for Hungary, so slot Moran in as we have to win. And Finan Darcy does previous season tickets and away days go towards a loyalty scheme point system? Yes, with your FAI account.
No, does previous season tickets go to it and previous away days don't go towards it? I think it's not like a new one starting the loyalty scheme that just started.
No, it's
the 1 point and 2 points
this year.
But does he mean previous? I think he means like previous, like say away day last year, say Finland and England, they don't go towards it, don't
they? No, it was just from January.
Yeah, so I think if you mean last year as such, I think it's from whenever this season.
The January season ticket, because it was all to do with you will be in a position to apply for World Cup tickets. Sligo boy.
So even if you went for that, even if you didn't go, if you went the last 20 years to every single game home and away, you would have been on a single loyalty scheme point until January.
Yeah, but they do have some records.
Yeah,
and most supporters clubs do as well, like we do. Finn and Darcy, stick to your little Aldi and farm food loyalty vouchers, safer bet. And that's the final comment of the night. So, yep, that's it. Thank you for joining us this evening. One thing I just want to mention, some of you may be familiar with this story, and I didn't mention it at the start of the show because I was thinking, would I or not? But you may have seen this incident in England where the train attack, the knife attack thing on the train that was travelling to Huntington, well, diverted to Huntington. But it was a Risk London member. Stephen Crean was kind of praised as a hero for that. Fantastic lad. I know him quite well from travelling to Nottingham Forest games and also Ireland games. But there's a Just Giving page to try and help him out in his recovery. Incredibly brave man, confronted the attacker on the train. There's been loads of press coverage and he's done a few interviews today as well. But I know he's very lucky to still be with us, to be honest. Very, very brave that he prevented people getting injured and hurt. So just want to send my best wishes to him on behalf of everyone from Risk London. Very traumatic time for everyone affected for that. So our thoughts and prayers for all them. But we will put the link in to Just Giving page that we've set up from Risk London just to kind of help him out. I know Nottingham Forest have done one as well. And they've nearly raised over 15,000 for him as well. So we're trying to do something from Risk London for him as well. And I really appreciate the support for that. But I know Irish fans will want to know that he's actually one of our own. He's a Nottingham Forest fan, but he goes to Ireland games as well. And he's been on our travels. A number of you will recognise him from his photos and stuff. And do check out the interviews. Incredible story, but incredibly brave actions that he prevented people getting hurt and killed, basically. So absolute hero. I just want to say fair play to Stephen Crean, and thanks as well. Just Frank actually here. I saw you donated earlier. Thank you for that. He just said what a man. Saw him being interviewed on BBC News. He's been through an absolutely shit time, obviously, but incredible story. And as I said, thoughts and prayers for everyone affected by that. But we will put up in our show notes a link to that. So if you want to support and buy him a pint, because that's what most people were thinking, I'd love to buy that man a pint. Just give a donation to our Just Giving page. But Conor, anything to add before the rest of the show? You're very excited. No. Under 17 World Cup starting. You've got all the research done. Please go back and check out that show. It's really, really good because you'll find out about all these players who they're not household names yet, but after this tournament, you'll know everyone in that squad. And if you want to learn their names now and where they're playing and what they've done and how good they're going to be, check out the video that Conor did assisting Dave. And it was a fantastic insight into the under-17 squad. We wish them the very best of luck, of course, going into a World Cup. We're not in World Cups every day, but best of luck to the Irish team over there and enjoy every minute of it, lads. We will be behind you every part of the way. So that's it. Over and out from tonight. Thank you for supporting us, and we'll catch up with you very soon. Come on, you boys in green.